Vincent?
The silver house has all on a small rise. It had even a chicken house to keep it company for the past and travel to a store. Nothing around it moved except the prairie grass, stringent, and the hop.
Okay, let's stop right here and think about what we're annotating so far. In the first paragraph, if you were going to write something in the margin that sort of summarized the whole paragraph, what would that be? What is the whole paragraph about? It's about, it establishes the setting, and it talks about how she is in a place that is in a field, kind of in the middle of nowhere. She's with her brother, and they're on their way somewhere. It talks about a pony and a dusty wagon track, so we're thinking maybe this is back in a time period that's not contemporary, maybe back when they had horses and wagons, and that she sees a house that she wants to stop and look at, but her brother's in a hurry and he wants to move on more quickly, but she says she wants to take just a minute and admire it. So how would you kind of put that in just a couple of words? I would say time period. I would write time here and a question mark, just to kind of mark, like I'm wondering right now what the time period might be for this time. I would also talk about, I would mark Sam, her brother, so I would know that this person talking is with her brother. She was used to resting a moment. Josie always did this. What's the perspective? With the she, they talk about Josie, or Hosie, I'm not sure how you say her name. Josie, she could do this, she could do that. They mention her name. So is Josie telling the story? No. It's told, so it's not first person. It doesn't say I saw this, I wanted to stop. It's she did this, and she was with her brother, and she always stopped to look across. So you need to think about, what is that called? What point of view? Is it an omniscient point of view where we can see inside everybody's thinking and all the time? That's already established here. We already know. Savannah, what do you think?
Third person.
Third person. So I'm going to write third person out there in the margin to let me know that that's the point of view. POV. That's an important bit of analysis there. We're not just reading for plot summary. We're not just reading to see what happened. We want to look at what tools did the author use to bring the story to life, to make it effective. Now let's go to the second paragraph and look at what tools the author used to make it effective. There's a clue here. It didn't even have a chicken house. There was nothing around it moving, so I'm going to put, what is a word that I could put here to describe a place that's silent? There's nobody there. There's not even a chicken coop. Does it look like this is like a place where people, is there laundry hanging out on the line and chickens and farm animals roaming about? When places are missing any living thing, what is that word that you could use, Martin?
Like abandoned.
Abandoned will work. What's another word for abandoned?
Prairie.
All prairies might not be abandoned. A prairie could be filled with like 1 million people. It is a prairie. That's a good observation. I would probably underline that word prairie as part of the setting. But for this mood I'm trying to get to, we're feeling that nobody lives there maybe. What, Mahima? Deserted, I like that. So let's just put abandoned, and deserted. Let's put both of those down because those are descriptors. Those are words that kind of show us there's nobody in sight and no sign of life, and it looks like maybe they're not just out on an errand and they're going to come back any minute. It looks like there's nobody living there maybe. And so you go on down, it talks about nothing's moving except the wind. What about this next part? Today it seemed to Josie that the house was just lightly settled on the earth like a big gray bird. What literary device is this? Raise your hand. What literary device is Vincent?
You didn't read that, though. You're
Supposed to read the whole paragraph.
Oh, I thought we were to the end.
We're not up to the three
We
birds.
read half of the second paragraph.
Oh, we stopped in the middle of the paragraph.
Alright,
Okay,
so
well,
now let's pick some.
can you go ahead and finish reading the paragraph and then we'll decide what that is?
Dang it.
I think you left
It
off.
might spread its wings and slowly fly away, back to a place where such houses will come. So who wants to go?
Okay, we have to mark it before we go on. So at the end of this paragraph, we finished it, right? You just had one more sentence or something? Are we here?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look back at this sentence. Today, it seemed that to Josie that the house was just lightly settled on the earth like a big gray bird. Just lightly settled. Like, you know how birds they come down and put their little feet on things so gently. Little tiny bird feet. They just come down so light. They don't go thud, clunk, right? And so, what is she comparing? The house is just sort of gently placed on this little hill in much the similar the way a bird would just kind of come down. What is that called when you're comparing two things, Mahima?
Personification, or not personification, but
Personification is when you give a lifelike quality to something that's not living, like this stool is going to breathe a sigh of relief when I stand up. Or the trees are whispering that it's almost summertime or something like that. That's personification. So think of another Kirtan.
a comparison?
It is a comparison, warmer. Let's figure out what that word is that describes, what's the term for a comparison of two unlike things. Martin?
I know it starts with an M, but
There is one that starts with an M, I'll give you clues. One starts with an M, one starts with an S. Yes, it's on the edge of your brain, and sometimes things just sit there and you just have to reach for them and grab it. Starts with an S, starts with an M. Let me give you another clue. Both of these words, the S word and the M word, are both types of, get ready, analogies. An analogy is a comparison between two unlike things, and there's two types. Arabelle? Simile. Good answer.
And
Good. So let's write that down. Mark it. Annotate that. Does everybody know how to spell it?
Yes.
Come back to me here. Simile. There you go. Write it down. I spelled it there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but do your best. Simile. And it's a comparison of the house to the bird. Now, we've got more. There's another literary device in the next sentence that you need to mark it. It says, at any moment it might spread its wings. What is it? At any moment it might spread its wings. Sarah?
I meant the bird.
One at a time. Sarah's talking. The house is it. So circle it and put house. That is the pronoun it, and the word it's talking about is house. And at any moment, the house might spread its wings and slowly fly away back to a place where such houses were common. Houses don't have wings. And so when it says it, talking about the house, read. Correct. We just talked about that. You knew the word. Now we see an example of it right here for you. Personification. Personification. When the house is going to sprout wings and fly away. Houses can't do that, but that's what they say here. Okay, popcorn, the next person. Popcorn, the next person.
Who do you want to go?
I don't.
You don't?
You should pick